Alright guys, welcome back to Warrior Sound Beats. So in the last video we just basically learned how to grab samples, take them from the sample packs. We're just using the FL default samples. If you want to use your own, you can follow on using your own samples. We just built up a little drum loop, which is just this. So we learned how to set up some velocities, how to change the snap grid, and how to create unique patterns. So you see there we've got snare 1 and then snare #2, meaning we've made a unique pattern out of that. Now it's a little bit dry at the moment. If you guys are using your own samples, it might have a lot more vibe to it, but we're going to have to work to bring a little bit out of these. So what we're going to do first is just use the pre-computed effects, just a tiny bit, just to add a little bit of flavor to some of the sounds. So if we roll it back on the kick pattern here, we've got the 808 and the 707, which respectively sound like this. Pretty uninspired, right? We are going to make use of an effect built into the sampler just to beef up that 808 and give it a bit more character. So if you open up, you get the little sampler here, and we used the ADSR envelope last time and we curved that a little bit so we could stop it from popping and clicking when we've got rapid movements. If we go back here into this section, we've got the little spanner here and the little valve icon. If we click that valve icon, it changes to what we've got here, and there's a couple of effects in here. Now we're going to make use of this boost, EQ, and maybe this clip right here. So we're going to solo this. This is now going to play us that 808 and 707 loop. And we're going to add a little bit of a boost into this 808. And it's going to start distorting pretty quickly. There you go, so just that tiny bit of boost, and that clip just gives us a little bit of grunge to it there. Now if we push the EQ to the right, it adds top end. If we push it to the left, it adds low end. We want to add a little bit of top here, I think. So we've got something like that. Just a bit more character into it than what we had originally. Yeah, that kicks us in the face a little bit harder. So we might do something similar with the snare as well. Try and get a little bit of character out of that. Awesome, so that's a little look at the pre-computed effects there, and you can do that with any sample you drop into this sampler. Just smash them a little bit into the distortion. It's just a nice quick way to get the sound that you want or want to move towards as quickly as you like. So what I think we're going to do next is throw a melody in. So if we hit F9, we can get the mixer up. Reason I bring the mixer up, whenever I drop a VST in, I like to get it straight onto the channel it's going to be in so I can start working on it straight away rather than putting it in there later like we did at the end of the last video. And as we're just using all of the stock plugins here, let's decide what we're going to use. Okay, so I own FL Producer Edition. I wouldn't advise going any lower than that ever. That comes with Citrus, so I think we'll roll with Citrus. And that way all of you guys are able to follow along as well. So Citrus comes with a whole bunch of presets, and I think what we'll do, we'll grab a preset instead of making this a program Citrus session, and we'll maybe tweak it into what we're after. So I'm feeling something piano-y for this type beat, so let's grab the E grand patch. So we've loaded that up. We're now going to make a new pattern. We'll call it piano. And we're going to get that into the piano roll. Got that on the E grand, let's have a listen. I'm not feeling it. Let's change that sound. Yeah, let's go with the FM piano instead. So when we're using the piano roll for this sort of thing, there's a couple of really helpful tools hidden away in here that we can use. What we're going to do is use the helpers to help us identify our key. So if we click on the little arrow up here, we can go down to helpers and we can do scale and highlighting. And do you know what? I fancy F sharp minor. So we can now choose F sharp, and you'll see the keys changed for F sharp. If we go back into the helpers, and we could now choose minor natural. That's going to be the normal minor, the exact like opposite key of major, but we are going to go minor melodic. And we're going to build up a nice little melody in here. I think a 4-bar of some description will work. Now the way I zoomed in just then on FL Studio OS X, which hopefully you guys are using, if you hold down Command and use your magic mouse or scroll in your trackpad, you can zoom in, and if you hold Option, you can zoom horizontally in and out. So since we're in F sharp, let's lead off of the F. I'm thinking just something like this. And we'll drop down for the next key. And we'll keep that same rhythm. So we're going to have a long note, miss a step, 2 short notes, half step into another. I think we'll go 1 note above. So that works nice for the first 2 bars. We're going to duplicate it and then just add a really slight adjustment of an extra note in here. Cool, so I'm not feeling that. I think we'll bring it back to the start here. Let's go long. Alright, instead, maybe doubling up on the way out. Yeah, let's try that. So if we go back to the main section here, we click on piano at the top, which is what we named our loop. We can drop that in here. And we've now got our full loop together. If we hit L to get back into song mode. Okay, so here's where we can start extending our arrangement a bit. If we hold if we hold Command and highlight, we'll duplicate the whole lot. We should now have a pretty nice 8-bar run. However, on that second iteration, it can be a little bit difficult to have exactly the same thing over again. So let's have a tiny variation in our hat. So we're going to make unique. We've now got hi-hat pattern 2 going on. I think maybe we'll step up the intensity of them. And what we'll do, we'll take these sections out here, and we'll use this little run instead. So we've got this instead, and they should just be a bit more full on. So now we've got 8 bars. We've got a variation in the melody every 2 bars, a variation in the hi-hat every 4 bars, and a variation in the snare every 2 bars. Cool. Now, what we could look at doing now is maybe adding some chords and just thickening that melody up a bit. I think we'll even try it within the same section here. So if you don't know chords, a really simple rule is every other note within the key, that's going to give you a triad. So we can try something like that. If we lead off the F, knowing that we lead off the F in our, the F sharp, sorry, in our main melody. So we could take something like that for a triad. Then we could work out the F triad as well, which would be U. Now we can just repeat those. What would be nice would be to lead into each one. So we could do something like this, which would give just a little bit of a feeling of moving into that next one. Could maybe make it longer or shorter, I'm not too sure. Yeah, longer, and I think we'll go up. Cool, so we've now got a really simple chord pattern as well. And what I reckon we'll do, we're now going to take our 8 bar, we're going to highlight that whole lot, we're going to duplicate that, so we've got a 16. We're going to delete this second piano, we're going to make unique on the first one. I'm going to highlight the chords and this random note that I just reintroduced. And what you can do to delete a lot of notes at once on Mac is function backspace. We're going to highlight our made unique piano line. We've now got a full 16 bar with different variations happening every 2 bars at least. I think we can use a nice technique on this first set here, just to bring this chord on a bit without introducing any effects. What we'll do is we'll copy it so it comes out on every other beat. We're going to highlight all of them. If we hold Option and scroll with the mouse, we can reduce them in level to go about 20% of the original. And then we're going to take down each one sequentially afterwards. And that should give us like a delayed fade out type effect. If a bit much, and we'll take them all back and we'll just have it so it drops on every other bar there. And we'll highlight them all again. We reduced it by a bit much, so we can use that trick again just to bring them all up in level. And we could have them occurring bang on the bars here. That odd signature didn't work as I was hoping, so we've just gone for on the beat. It just helps it fade out a little bit better. Now let's do a similar technique with these chords in this one. And we'll bring the next lot onto each beat, and we're going to reduce them down in length because they're just going to be like these delayed hits. We'll bring them all down in one go. Cool, it gives us some extra movement going on there. We'll just tidy this up a little bit. Cool. In the next video, I think we're going to look at adding a bass line and just further developing this process. See you in the next video.